Housing Development Program in Africa. Housing Development Program and the globe. Number one, Housing Development Program.
Hello and welcome to Housing Development, where we dive into critical issues impacting housing development and the property market. Real estate is one of the most lucrative and fast-growing industries, but it's also an area where illicit funds can be hidden or claimed. Money laundering not only threatens the integrity of the market, but also undermines economic stability and trust. So, how can we safeguard the real estate industry from being exploited? What are governments and stakeholders doing to close those loopholes and increase transparency? Whether you're an industry professional, a property buyer, this is an essential information to protect yourself, your business, and the integrity of the market. Stay tuned as we impact the tools and strategies to combat money laundering through real estate. This is Housing Development, and as always, I am Flora Ani, your housing diva. The trending news is up next.
The Housing Development Advocacy Network, HDAN, has joined the push for the realization of federal government's tax reforms, even as the controversy over its desirability or otherwise rages. HDAN has called on President Bola Tinubu and the National Assembly to include tax relief for developers of these house types, as well as building materials producers in the reform. The group's executive director, Festus Adebayo, explained that the tax relief is to lessen the burden of construction costs, noting that excessive taxation could hinder the delivery of affordable housing, thereby eroding the hope of millions of Nigerians in dire need of housing. Adebayo urged the federal government to issue these tax credits through a competitive process, ensuring that only those genuinely committed to addressing the nation's housing crisis benefit from the relief. Governor of Nasarawa State, Abdullahi Sule, and Sokoto State Governor Ahmad Aliyu Sokoto are set to receive the prestigious Urban Planning Housing Friendly Governor of the Year Award 2024 at the forthcoming Africa Housing Awards. The announcement was made by Festus Adebayo, the coordinator of the Africa Housing Awards, during an interview in Abuja. According to Adebayo, this recognition highlights both governors' transformative approaches to addressing housing and urban planning challenges in their respective states, cementing their administration's reputation as a driver of sustainable development. The Africa Housing Awards 2024 will take place on Saturday, December 14, 2024 at the Musa Yaradua Event Center in Abuja. The event will bring together policymakers, stakeholders, leaders of professional bodies, and industry leaders from across Africa to celebrate excellence in the housing and construction sectors.
For more housing, finance, and construction news, do well to visit www.africanhousingnews.com. Is the practice of real estate well regulated in Nigeria? Real estate is now seen as a popular choice for hiding illicit funds, and what can be done to close the loopholes that makes it so easy? Let's take a listen to Prince Akintoye Adeoye, the president of Real Estate Developers Association of Nigeria.
Becoming a developer, there is no formal institute that admits you. So regulation in that area is lacking. And it's very, very important that the sector is professionalized. It has become a chorus to all stakeholders that this is a time for the sector to be professionalized, particularly the incessant building collapse, because People just go into the sector because they have money as an investor. But there is money, there is skill. So the skill is lacking. And that is why people do whatever that they feel that they want to do to maximize their profits. Also, that professionalism also is affecting the money laundering that is happening in the sector. If practitioners have been able to go through formal training or formal licensing before becoming estate developer, I strongly believe that the curriculum will include issues around money laundering, money trafficking, and how to accept money from third parties for investments. But today, many developers, they don't even know anything that has to do with money laundering. The EFCC through SCUMO, they are trying their best. You know, not all developers are members of REDAN. People that are members of REDAN, we ensure in the association to make sure that they register with SCUMO and that they attend SCUMO trainings. And by January, we are starting a training, internal training, and SCUMO is developing the curriculum for us. As REDAN member, it's becoming compulsory now that you have to go through that curriculum before you are issued with REDAN certificates. This land, these 753 duplexes and other houses were built on mass housing lands. So mass housing land in Abuja is meant for low cost, medium cost housing. So if you look at it from that perspective, the masses, Nigerians have already been deprived of the opportunity of home ownership. I will be craving the indulgence of the federal government of Nigeria. You know, our letter will be submitted to the president on Monday, appealing to the president to please immediately sell these properties, and the proceeds should be given to Federal Mortgage Bank to recapitalize the bank so that the bank can do more in the area of housing supply. You know, financing mortgage at single digit, that is the only bank doing that as of today. Financing development at single digit, that is the only bank doing that today. And the procedure from these 753 duplexes, you know, we go a long way to support the Renew Hope agenda of Mr. President in ameliorating and reducing the hardship of Nigerians getting accommodation, getting their own houses.
Attention, Africa. The most anticipated event in the housing sector is here, the Africa Housing Awards. It's time to celebrate the people, projects, and companies that are transforming African housing. Nominate your favorites and let their achievements be recognized across the continent. Who do you think has made the biggest impact in affordable housing, sustainable design, and innovation? Now's your chance to make your choice heard. Visit www.africahousingawards.com today and nominate your preferred winners. Show your support for those making a difference in the housing industry. The Africa Housing Awards, celebrating excellence in housing across Africa. Nominate now.
Prince Akintoye Adeoyeda, the president of REDAN. Moving on, the immediate past president of REDAN, Aliyu Wamako, has this to say on closing the loopholes that makes money laundering possible in the real estate sector.
That when I was the president of REDAN last year, I tried to promote and sponsor a bill to the National Assembly. This bill is aimed at promoting, good administrative business in the real estate. At least people in the real estate sector are supposed to be known. Most especially Nigeria, as part of the Financial Action Task Force globally, we are expected, we have about 80% of our money laundering into real estate. And it is because of this, we held a meeting in London, I could remember, September 2003, and we tried to make sure that at least we promote the issue of transparency in the business of real estate. And the only thing is for us to have a law regulating us. And that is why we sponsored the bill, Real Estate Regulatory Council of Nigeria, Bill 2023. And successfully it passes the 9th Assembly. This bill is aimed at curbing the fraudulent practice in the real estate. This bill extends to give efficient and effective monitoring and services to the regulators and the practice and the people practicing in the real estate. You see, had this bill been assent by the president, it means that anybody who is to become a player in the real estate must be known. All the directors behind his company must be known. The government will be aware of who is who in the real estate business. And a lot of revenue will even come to the government. And that is why we promoted this bill, because we know the bill aims at least curbing the situations in the real estate that are ugly to the populations of Nigerians. And now that the present administration maybe is aiming at curtailing this, we still urge them to look into that bill and assent. The president shall assent to that bill, because it will assist the NFIU, National Financial Intelligence Unit, the SCUMO arm of the EFCC, and all other financial regulators in Nigeria, because money laundering is a disease in the country, and we must eliminate it. And if the government didn't sign this bill, believe me sincerely, a lot of malpractice that is happening, and the government looting will never stop. It will continue, because when you stole money, the only place to hide it is you go to the land and hide that money. So that ruling is apt, and we commended the judiciary for doing that. But we are also appealing to the president to look into this and assent to that bill, because it will give regulations. It's only in Nigeria that we have people operating in the real estate business without regulation. So we kindly ask the president to assent to this bill. It's people's bills, and we believe he is for the people.
Dr. Aliyu Wamakoda, the immediate past president of REDEN, appealing to you, Mr. President, to sign the bill for an act to establish the Real Estate Regulatory Council of Nigeria into law, considering the access of the bill to the real estate sector. I'll be back in a moment.
It is a good development. It's something that we encourage others to look forward to annually, and I hope they're able to sustain this. Senator, I will see how we can give support to them in the Senate so that they can go ahead to improve housing in Nigeria.
Whoever gets this kind of recognition should feel very, very proud of himself and his efforts. By this award, I think I've done well.
You're watching Housing Development. Nigeria's housing deficit continues to rise annually, while many cities across the country, particularly Abuja, flaunt empty unaffordable houses. These Nigerians have this to say on the provision of affordable housing and housing shortfall in the midst of vacant, unoccupied houses.
If I was the president, what I would do is I would actually go there, pursue everybody, pack people from the villages, and then take them down there, let them start living. Because one of the rights of everybody is free accommodation. You should go to all those estates and then revoke their license and say, okay, and investigate. Why are people keeping houses for years for their children, while the people are still alive, they cannot afford this thing? What they should do is, one, either they revoke their license and then take those buildings and give it to the masses. Because in the first place, the property, the land and everything belongs to the masses.
I would say that unoccupied houses, they can rent it out to people that don't even have at all. Like Asokoro here, there are so many buildings, mansions, that there is nobody. From year to year, there are nobody, except rats, cockroach, everything that is taking over the place. But there are so many people that don't even have a place to lay their head. Let people occupy the empty houses, the building that there is nobody.
The government should put a policy that any house that is not occupied for so time, then they should find a way to give or to a kind of make the owner of the house to make available those houses, so that those that does not have house to stay, they can stay inside of them, or they can even put a tax. That tax can force them to put it for rent and the rest, because most of the houses in Asokoro and Maitama and other places, they are all empty. You go to a whole street, you see empty houses, 5 bedrooms, 6 bedrooms, duplex, all of them are empty. So I think if the policy are made that those who have those houses should put it in use, either by them or by any other people that can be able to occupy them, or even subsidize it, so that with a little amount of money, people can be able to rent those places. I think it will be a better way. So taxes should be imposed on those who left their houses empty without people. Those taxes will make them to start bringing people to stay there, or collect a little amount of money so that people can stay in those houses.
Just want the government to collect the houses, to share it for the poor ones.
It is the duty of the government to officially allocate houses to all citizens of this country. If there is an unoccupied flats, unoccupied houses here and there, and the owners have no use of it, and are not ready to bring the rate down for the downtrodden to occupy this, I will advise the government to forcefully take some percentage of it and give to the less privileged, those who are lonely, sleeping aimlessly on the street, cut across the whole federation.
Nigerians there speaking on unoccupied houses and what should be done to such. Housing is a basic need, and as we always say, no one should lack it. Speaking of affordable housing and addressing Nigerians' housing deficits, the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria hosted Mark Wenrich, Secretary General of the International Union for Housing Finance, to its headquarters in Abuja. Our correspondent will give more details.
In a move to accelerate solutions to Nigeria's housing deficit, the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, FMBN, hosted Mark Wenrich, Secretary General of the International Union for Housing Finance at the bank's headquarters in Abuja. In his remarks, the MD and CEO of the FMBN, Shehu Osidi, underscores FMBN's strategic push to leverage global expertise and resources to provide affordable housing for millions of Nigerians. OCD noted that central to FMBN's efforts is its recent 100 billion naira bankable off-taker guarantee under the federal government's Renewed Hope agenda.
We have performed commendably well given the quantum of resources within our disposal. There is no state that you go in Nigeria today that you do not find at least 2 residential housing estates financed by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. We have as many as 10 or more residential housing estates in some states. Just recently, the bank provided a 100 billion naira bankable off-taker guarantee to real estate developers executing the construction of affordable houses under the federal government's Renewed Hope agenda for the housing sector. By this guarantee,
OCD noted that Nigeria was scaling up its efforts at deepening its business process automation and enhancing credit quality to check the negative impact on its books.
We recognize that collaboration with global institutions like the IUHF is key to moving speedily in this direction, especially through technical assistance and capacity building programs. We are also scaling up our efforts at deepening our business process automation and enhancing credit quality to check the negative impact of non-performing loans on our books. We recognize that when our system substantially aligns with global standards and practices, it becomes easier to relate internationally and mobilize financial resources that our housing sector badly needs in form of foreign direct investment.
In his remarks, the Secretary General of the International Union for Housing Finance, IUHF, Mark Weinrich, lauded FMBN's commitment to innovation and affordability, pledging IUHF's full support. He added that the FMBN's approach to addressing housing finance challenges is impressive.
I believe that you are doing an excellent service to the Nigerian population because you are the only bank, yes, you are really the only bank that hands out affordable loans to the Nigerians, and you are doing also an excellent job attracting FDIs. What you are doing to do is somehow also what I suggested, and the Federal Mortgage Bank can probably integrate some of these ideas. The idea is that you have in Nigeria in the future 2 institutions. One is the Development Bank for Construction Finance, which funds developers, which gives developers equity and also long-term loans. And that you have on the other side, I call it the Housing Savings Bank, but you could call it also the Federal Mortgage Bank, which collects savings from the Nigerian people and gives cheap loans to them. And you could blend it to your business which you have.
OCD hailed the visit as a landmark moment, emphasizing the importance of international partnerships in closing Nigeria's staggering housing deficit.
Today's engagement also forms part of our strategic engagements with critical partners connected to housing finance. Once again, Secretary General, I warmly welcome you to the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria and assure you of the bank's continued engagement and support for the association.
The visit came to an end with an exchange of gifts and a photo session.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Oh,
huh? What is it again?
Oga, and they drive this car, my mind no dey. My landlord is on my neck.
Your landlord again? I thought I have told you this before. Get a mortgage, register with NHF scheme, and get a home up front. What is so difficult about this?
Oga, I will do just that. See, I will shame that my landlord. Mortgage.
At the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, everyone deserves a home.
The countdown is on. Just 3 days to the Africa Housing Awards. This highly anticipated event will bring together key stakeholders, industry leaders, and innovators to celebrate outstanding achievement and excellence in the housing sector across the continent. As the countdown continues, preparations are in full swing to ensure an evening that highlights the remarkable contributions of individuals and organizations dedicated to advancing housing solutions in Africa. Join the Africa Housing Awards team on the 14th of December 2024 at the Musa Yar'Adua Center, Abuja, to recognize and honor the visionaries shaping the future of housing on the continent. Now here's a quick one from the organizers of Africa Housing Awards.
Hey Africa, ready to crown the champions of housing? Time for Africa Housing Award. Who's got the best design, the greatest home, the most affordable spaces? You decide. Nominate your favorites and let's shine the spotlight on the best in African housing. Whether it's a big brand, a bold project, or a fresh idea, we want to hear from you. So go on, show some love. Nominate now. Head on to AfricaHousingAwards.com and nominate your picks today. Let's celebrate those changing the game in African housing.
That's the much I can bring on today's episode of Housing Development. Join me same time, same station next week. As always, I remain your housing diva, Fleur Ani. Bye for now.